Here are the tips to a safe and out-of-this-world trip. This will be my harm reduction project. By me, Akaya Campbell. Have you ever heard of a bad trip or a bad acid trip? In a Johns Hopkins survey of nearly 2,000 people who have had bad trips, 10.7% of which reported putting themselves or others in harm's way. A bad trip is defined as the intoxication of a drug that causes negative effects on the person using. These effects can lead to excessive fear, agitation, or emotionally disturbing situations that can be scary. Anyone who uses psychedelics is at risk for a bad trip. It is important to know that although anyone who uses psychedelics are at risk for a bad trip, it is important to know that not everyone who uses psychedelics will have a bad trip. So here are some precautions to avoiding a bad trip. Tip number 1 is microdosing. Microdosing involves taking a very small dose, which is typically 1/10 of hallucinogenic substances, so that it is not enough to produce a typical effect of having a trip. An example of this would be, instead of taking 2 grams of a psilocybin, take 0.2 grams. Tip number 2 is being in a comfortable environment. Being in a setting with excessive stimulation can cause a bad trip. Overstimulation can be overwhelming, so it's best to find a calm setting. It is also good to be around friends and family that you trust. Tip number 3 is sticking to one drug. Do not use alcohol, marijuana, opioids, or prescription drugs while using a psychedelic. These can add on a number of adverse effects. You never know how different drugs may mix together. Tip number 4 is be in the right state of mind. Using psychedelics for the wrong reason can contribute to negative effects. Being in a negative emotional state can perpetuate these negative feelings. Tip number 5 is to drink water. It is important to stay hydrated. Water helps flush out toxins and can help balance the body's response while tripping. Tip number 6 is find a trip buddy. Have someone who is sober walk and guide you through the trip. Using alone can mean coping by yourself if you get injured or have a bad trip. For more information on harm reduction, reach out to Prevention Point Philadelphia or reach out to Temple Safety Services if you are struggling with addiction and seeking medical amnesty. Remember, it is safer to trip with a friend. Stay hydrated, slow down, relax, and enjoy the ride. Best wishes, your Oasis awaits.
Created using Powtoon.